Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Untitled series. I think it's going to stick. I really do think the majority like the name, or it fits with the content, blah blah blah. This particular episode, we will be showcasing how to turn on a much better AA solution for NVIDIA cards. I'm sorry, AMD, I don't have a solution for you. If you have a solution, post it in the comments. We're also going to be discussing my stream, how it went, what the plans are, and it was fantastic. Just spoiler alert. Finally, I will be showing off my PC specs and answering a couple questions that have come up in the last Untitled. But first, let's talk about anti-aliasing. So, this is going to be the example of anti-aliasing. Some of you asked, and I volunteered to explain just how I improved my AA in World of Warships. So this is an example of World of Warships the way it usually looks to most people. Now, I have not turned on FXAA, which is the only AA that you can use in the game by default. Now it's on. Doesn't really look like it, right? It's not very good. So in order to improve AA, you must make sure that your AA, your FXAA, is turned off before you go change the setting. And we're going to look at the game after the fact and see how it has improved. Alright, so we have disabled AA in-game. The FXAA is turned to off, set to off, sorry. Now we're out of game. We need to make sure that we have NVIDIA Profile Inspector. The download link is in the video description. You download it. It's going to open up. It basically is just displaying profiles that already exist on an NVIDIA PC, and it's more easier for the user to manipulate different settings. Now, I don't have a solution for AMD. I'm sorry. I only have NVIDIA. If you have a solution for AMD, please post in the comments. So, it opens up with global profile. We don't want to mess with that. Leave that out of this. You want to go to World of Warships. You want to make sure you select it, of course. And then we're going to change a couple values. First one we change, anti-aliasing. We want to make sure that it is this particular entry. We want to do it for both the baseline anti-aliasing compatibility and the DX1X, which is short for 10, 11, 12 sort of thing. We also want to change the SLI. Now, most people don't have an SLI machine. If you do, however, you need to make sure that you select the World of Tanks profile. I do it either way, just to make sure it lines up with the instructions. I'm not going to have any issues, right? And I'll know if I have an issue because the settings are either off. The next thing we go into is sync and refresh. We go into vertical sync. We change it from whatever value and make sure it says force on. We also want to change vertical sync tear control from standard to adaptive. Now, if it is already force on or adaptive, leave it there. You just want to make sure these settings line up. The next one, we're going to go into anti-aliasing, and we're going to change the first behavior flag, and we're going to say none. Right, it's none. You might think we want to have it associated with World of Warships or World of Tanks or whatever. No, you don't. You want it set to none. For the mode, we want to override it. So we set it to override any application settings. For the settings themselves, they recommend 4x multisampling. You notice, look at all these. You got super sampling, you got MS, you got CV samples, you got all these things. You really only want to touch multisampling, so 2x, 4x, 8x. And don't worry, you're probably not going to be able to run at a certain setting. You might have to drop it down 1 or 2 or not use this at all. It does require more GPU power. I have a GTX 980 Ti, and I notice when I set these to 8. So be careful. They also recommend that you change the transparency super sampling. You want to make it 4x sparse grid super sampling. Make sure it's sparse grid and not the regular super sampling. The final box we have to go into is texture filtering. And the first one is we're going to go into filtering mode. And we want to set to user defined off. We also want to go into the settings. And we want to change that from linear to 4x. And finally, we want to take the LOD bias for both DX and OpenGL. You want to make sure it's negative 0.1250. Make sure you go negative. There is a positive. You want to do negative 0.1250. I think I said it right. Anyway, those are the only settings you change. You click apply. And then when you open up, and you want to make sure the game was closed when you did this, when you open up the game again, you should see a game with AA. We are now in game again. This is the same exact scene as prior. The only difference is, of course, we have put in the values to improve the AA, and it should be pretty obvious that it is improved. I mean, the rigging alone is very noticeable, how clean it looks. And this is only with 4 times. If you go 8, it'll look even better. Now, your graphics card will be pushed to an extreme limit for some. I mean, I have a GTX 980 Ti, and I notice it's just on the edge of being slow at 8x for both settings in the anti-aliasing section. But the game looks so much better, right? You got the rigging, you've got the guardrails of the ship itself. Anything that's thin, and there are a lot of things that are thin on a ship, should look cleaner. And this is without FXAA. Now, I really like this solution. It makes it look a lot cleaner. And it can even look better. If I set it to 8x, it will look great. It does cost a lot of performance, though. Just keep that in mind. AA is basically rendering the scene multiple times. It's confirming lines with that multiple data entry, and it is formulating a averaged out representation of the lines and how they hold their shape. So you shouldn't have pixels dancing around as much. You should have a more averaged, clean appearance to the gameplay or whatever scene you might have been using. I double render the videos so they look cleaner. So let's move on. This is enough looking at graphical changes to the game. Let's actually talk about other things. Like the stream. It was amazing. It was a massive success. It could not have gone better, quite honestly. I mean, I went into there, I told Poimane, spoiler alert, Poimane is a really close friend. I told Poimane, we're going to get 20, 30 people. I was, of course, warning everyone, it's my first stream. I just want to make sure the settings are correct. And I'll answer some questions. Be real casual, right? Yeah. That's not quite what went down. We started the stream off. The audio for me worked great. The gameplay was completely mute until I had some solution from the chat. I really appreciate it. We fixed that, and I went 4.5 hours. And I could have gone more. I enjoyed it so much, I went overtime, and the success was just astronomical. I did not get 20 people. I did not get 50 people. I did not get 100 people. I didn't get 300 people. I got over 500 people to tune in, and it was just more than I could have possibly imagined. I can't thank everyone enough for showing up. Some people were there for 5 minutes saying, "Hey, Notser, it's really late for me. I'm just here to support you. I appreciate all your content. I'm really excited for what's to come," and you can't be more kind. You really can't. I just love the support. I would give you a big hug for the support you've given me. It really means the world to me. It really does. But the microphone worked well. I didn't really have any issues as far as the game was concerned. My only issue is I'm not used to answering questions while I play, so I was a little bit more passive than I would have liked. But through learning this, through improving it. We will get there. One thing that was a little odd to me is I accidentally streamed in 720p 60 FPS. I had intended to stream at 30 FPS because the kilobits per second just doesn't support 720p 60 FPS. However, it seemed to work. I rewatched a little bit of the stream, and yeah, I guess the only downside is that everything I locally recorded had double audio because the solution for that particular issue required that I added another audio source, and I was in the midst of streaming. I just couldn't break away to fix the solution. I have fixed it now, and in fact, I think I have the right solution. Now, I like to record at 1080p 60 FPS for local, and I use NVIDIA to encode. It offloads a lot of CPU. CPU is more intensive in this game than GPU. Although now that I have the AA turned up to near max, I can't really say that anymore. But in general, I want 1080p 60 for the local record so I can put it up on YouTube with really great quality. And for the stream, I want it to be 720p 30 FPS until I'm a partner, just so everyone can enjoy it. I was on the fringe of going to, I think, 2500 kilobits per second, and it's kind of a challenge for a lot of people to reach that high. I know some people can't relate. I want more quality. Well, I have to stream for the lowest common denominator in order to reach partner status. And once I do reach partner status with Twitch, then it will be able to scale for whatever, right? And that's the goal. So I really enjoyed the experience. I can't believe how much fun it is. You all gave me so much energy. I can't understate this. I did not even realize the time was passing. I hadn't eaten other than right before the stream. I didn't drink anything. I didn't move from my spot for 4.5 hours, and it was great. It was a wonderful experience, and I thank all of you for being a part of it. If you weren't there, I will definitely be streaming more. And don't think of it as watching someone play the game. Anyone who was there, and I heard from Poimane, some people were complaining, does he ever shut up? This is how I play the game. I have played competitive games since I was 10 years old, and I've had to communicate over comms since I was 10. Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 2, we moved to World of Warcraft, raiding, that sort of thing. So it's completely safe for me to talk. I just can't talk at the rate that I talk in a YouTube video. But the experience was overwhelming. My intention will probably be to start a little bit early than I did. I started at 2:30, 3 o'clock local time, which is about 6 to 8 hours behind Greenwich Mean. And obviously that's not convenient for a lot of people, but we'll go into different brackets. You don't need to be there the entire time. It's just having fun, talking to people. And honestly, I've never participated in chat for Twitch. I usually just keep it on and watch the person. I had a lot of fun just communicating with chat, answering questions. It was a blast. So we're definitely going to do it. Probably going to be at least 3 days because that's one of the requirements for partnership. And we need to reach 500 viewers. And I don't feel bad telling you this. This is free information that you can get. That's the most realistic goal that I can set for Twitch. So that's what we're going to go for. At least 3 days a week, 500 plus concurrent viewers. Now, initially I was like, there's no way I could get 500 views. Well, there is, and it's because of you. Because of you, the event was fantastic, and I thank you for it. So, what else have we been doing other than the streaming? Well, I've been tweaking my settings, making sure that they function correctly. I've also been playing more World of Warcraft, been leveling characters that I enjoy. They've just changed the way you control every single spec. Not class, every single spec. It feels so much better, honestly. It sort of feels like a MOBA character. Warcraft 3 really introduced the idea that you could control a hero, and they would have special powers. It would be pretty unique to that champion, and it just has expanded past that. We've got even shooters with skill sets that are unique to them, and it's a part of the character, it's not a part of a weapon or whatever. And World of Warcraft sort of forgot what they needed to do, and they've come back to it. I've also been playing The Smith. Anyone played the Tier 2 American Premium that just came out? That was one of the issues. When I was talking about Audible with my Mogami game, I wanted to do Smith and just introduce it, talk about it, maybe the future of a destroyer line that had single launchers. But I had double audio, and that was from the stream. I fixed all of that issue. But we can talk about the impact of a single launcher. For those who don't know, the Smith, you have 3 torpedoes, 3 single torpedoes. One is neutral aligned, 2 of them are one on the port, one on starboard, so you have 2 per side basically. But they're single launchers, and they have a rearm that's really quick, like 15 seconds, 20 seconds. How would that play out in a full line where you had a really low cooldown, minimal torpedo system, but it would be really active? It would be a part of your kit the entire time. You would be seeking out to send these solo or maybe dual, they might get up to dual torpedo sets. This is not the first solo torpedo ship in the game. I believe there's a Japanese Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 4 destroyer that has basically the same design. I think it's a clue that the German destroyers are going to be this. I don't have any information. Even if I did, I could not let on that I know this is the case. This is purely speculation. But what I'm playing when I'm playing the Smith is, again, a unique experience for a destroyer. And it's really fun, right? The idea that I could be pinpoint precise, have a low cooldown, risk reward, I think it's all there. I think it's fantastic. I think it would be a joy to control, and the German destroyers are coming after the German battleships. That's at least what has been said. I did initially hear, oh no, British cruisers are coming, British cruisers are coming. They are not going to be here as soon as we would like. They are coming, but apparently the German destroyers are next after the German battleships. And that's going to make some people sad, but in reality, the Russian government had access to a bunch of blueprints that the Germans had when they, of course, beat them in the war. They did not get access to the Royal Navy blueprints like they did to the Germans. So the Germans would be easier for them to have real data to design ships, whereas they had to ask the British government, may we use these blueprints for this video game? And the British government probably want to research it. Are they going to use this for anything else? You know, is this something we don't want our property to be associated with? And then they see it and they go, oh, okay, not a big deal, but it's going to have to take government time. We all know how this works, right? The prospect that they might introduce a destroyer line that has a really fast rearm cycle for the torpedo systems is really appealing, especially at high tier. Anyone who hasn't reached high tier, you basically have torpedoes that rearm in 1 to 2 minutes. You have to wait 1 to 2 minutes before you can even consider sending torpedoes again. That isn't how it is early on. Early on, you've got torpedo systems that have a 20, 30-second rearm cycle. By the time they reach the target, they're already ready to go again. It keeps you thinking about sending torpedoes the entire time. You just can't do that with how powerful they are at high tier and how much are launched out. Shimakaze 15. But if they could somehow bring that gameplay to high tier, that would be a really exciting line to play. And I would look forward to it immensely. So, questions. How do you get girls? Yes, that was a real question, and I will answer, I don't know. I sit in front of a PC all day, working on content for you. What are my PC specs? Well, I have an Intel i7 4770K. I have an NVIDIA GTX 980 Ti. It's the EVGA variant. They are a great manufacturer. I have an Asus Maximus Hero 6. I believe they're on Hero 9 now, so that tells you how old it is. I have a Samsung 850 Pro, which is the solid-state drive. For my keyboard and mouse, I have a Corsair K70 and an M65. I really like the aluminum body, and it just feels great. I don't ever feel like I'm being ripped off by Corsair. They price the products pretty fair. I have an Acer XB271HU. That is a 1440p, 144Hz G-Sync monitor, IPS variant. I have a Sennheiser PC360 headset. And I have an Audio-Technica AT2020 Plus for my microphone. I hope you enjoyed this Untitled. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.